Alright, so I'm over here in Governor's Island. I'm sitting here waiting on the ferry. Probably another 20 minutes or so. Let's see here. Is it? 11:50. It's be here around 12:18. So another 28 minutes. Yeah. Another 28 minutes. Yep, 28 minutes. That's what it shows here. I don't know if you can see that, but right up there. Alright, I'm back here. I'm still in Governor Island. Over there you can see the Verrazano Bridge in the distance. I got like 17 more minutes for the ferry to arrive to take me back to Manhattan. There. Shit out here. Not much going on here. That's Red Hook Pier right over there. There used to be a ferry that used to go down to, let's see, used to go south to Bay Ridge. I don't see it on the list anymore. Maybe they cut that out. Maybe not that many passengers. But it used to go all the way down to by the Verrazano Bridge over there. And there's a park not too far from there I used to go to. And you can have some good exercise going over there in that park. And of course over there, that's Staten Island. That's the remote borough. Ferry, in the old days there was no bridge or anything to get over there. Needed a ferry. So if you live over there in Staten Island, it's not that easy to get into the city itself. You want to go to Manhattan to work? Yeah. You gotta lose a lot of sleep. Because you have to take the Staten Island ferry, which is free. It used to be, they used to charge, I think, like maybe a quarter, but they made it free. Other than that, you can take there's a bus, an express bus you have to pay, and then you have to go through a lot of traffic. So you gotta ask yourself, what's it worth it? Because if you try to drive or get in the bus in the morning, it's a lot of traffic getting into Manhattan. So you might as well take the Staten Island ferry and get off there at on the New York side, Manhattan side, by Whitehall Street over there, Staten Island Ferry Terminal. So people who live over there and they have to work in Manhattan or other parts of the city, they lose a lot of sleep. Because you have to really wake up early to get to work. Whereas me, I live right down Lobway in Brooklyn. So so it doesn't take me that long to get into Manhattan. I see a ferry coming. I wonder what ferry. That's probably the Far Rockaway ferry. Yeah. The ferry that goes to Far Rockaway. There's a barge coming that way, right there. So that ferry there should be the one that goes to Far Rockaway. Yep. So by the time I get back to Brooklyn, it'll be lunchtime. My lunch is already cooked. I cooked enough from yesterday. I don't have a microwave. I'm gonna have to heat it up in the stove because I ordered a new microwave. The one that I had was from around 1988. So it lasted a long time. So my new microwave should be coming in, I think, on Monday from Walmart. And also one of those ergonomic chairs. My other chair, it's like if I lean back, a few times I fell off to sleep when I fell out of the chair. And it's like trying to put together Humpty Dumpty. You remember that story, Humpty Dumpty? Heard the great fall. He sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty. All the king's men couldn't put him back together again. Well, I fell like Humpty Dumpty. Yep. fall off to sleep. So hopefully this new chair that I get is an ergonomic type, and it can adjust whereby you can lean back, but you're not gonna fall over. Hopefully. Yeah. So I'm getting a microwave coming in a chair. Because when I'm at home working doing editing and all that stuff at the desk, I need a good chair to sit in. Yeah, I need a good chair. So there's a ferry that should be going to Far Rockaway. I don't know what happened to the one that goes to Bay Ridge. It used to go to South Brooklyn. Now the South Brooklyn ferry just stops right here. This is the last stop at Governor Island. Now in going back, I don't have to go to Manhattan if I don't want to. I can either get off at Red Hook, take a bus, which I'm not going to do, or get off at Brooklyn Bridge Park and I can ride a bike and go home. Look at those buoys. I guess out there that water is really deep, right there. Those buoys. So this island has quite a history. The United States Army used to be stationed over here in New York. I guess going back from the 1800s till around 1966. Then the Coast Guard took over. So the commandant was in that building we passed by earlier. Well, it's not in this building, in this video, but in an earlier video, it is. So the Coast Guard came in around 1966, and then they left like, I think it might have been like in the early 90s. Yeah. Probably like 30 years later. I guess it was too expensive to keep the Coast Guard here. Look at Red Hook Pier, how dead it is, you know? Those cranes used to be so busy when I worked there in the 1980s. You see that crane right there? If you could see it well. When I started, they didn't have that. They used to have like hundreds of longshoremen used to work there. And they had loose cargo. In those days, they didn't have containerized cargo. Those big containers, the metal containers you see now, those didn't even exist. And then they brought in the containers, and then you have that big thing over there that can pass right over the container and pick up the container off the ship and put them onto the flatbed. I guess this would be my ferry coming soon. Look at that. Yeah, stopping at Red Hook. After Red Hook, it's gonna come here. Yeah. So those big things over there, and then they have these gigantic stuff that they would ride if they killed a few people, because they couldn't really see them. People will be walking in the yard out there where these big trucks are passing by with the containers. A number of people got killed in the beginning. But look at it now. Since I'm sitting here, nothing is moving. But when I used to work there, it used to be very, very busy. You would see there would be like a man sitting up in there, one man only. And that one man can offload that ship. The ships would pull in right there. And there would be hundreds of containers. And they would just lift that up. Where it's like, in the loose cargo, they used to take a few hundred men used to board the ship. And they had to take off that loose cargo. That took a lot of man hours. So what happened, a lot of people lost their jobs. Yeah. Once you had containerization, everything comes in a container. And sometimes what they have is, there was a warehouse that, let's say you ordered something, it will go into container, but not everything in the container belongs to you. So then the container would go straight to the warehouse, and then you would have to pick up your stuff later, but there would be a custom officer over there at the warehouse that you would go to. However, if you're ordering a whole bunch of stuff, let's say from China, then everything would be in that container is yours. So a truck would come, you would send a truck, and that truck would come and pick up your container and then take it to your business. That's how it worked, you know, because everything in the container belongs to you. So that's how it worked. My ferry is going to be coming in a few minutes, so I'm going to start heading back over there. Yeah. So yeah, but in the old days, go back to the 1980s, there used to be the Union Hall in the morning. Lots of men used to be over there. And then they'd get an assignment where they'd be going to work. But once you have the containerization with cargo, you don't need those people anymore. You still need it now. You still needed some, but not as many. So lots of people lost their jobs. Those were the days. So technology changes a lot of stuff. So here we are now in 2026, and we have AI. I took a course some years ago to learn coding because I figured, when I retire, maybe I can do coding from home. You can do it off your computer. You don't have to go in an office. And you know what? AI can do coding. Yeah, artificial intelligence. They can do coding. So right there. 1218 is the next one that's coming. AI can do coding. And it can do it accurately. Coding, you have to have a lot of, sometimes you mess up, or they give you a chain or something and something is missing, you gotta look in there and see. AI doesn't have that problem. AI can go right through and see. Yeah. AI does not have that issue. They can do all the coding. So the point I'm getting at is, you go back to the 1980s, a lot of these people lost their jobs. And down in the port, we had all these ships coming in with cargo, and you didn't need all these men anymore to offload the ship because of containerization. Now you have a lot of AI. Yeah. And AI, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Like in coding, for example. AI can do coding. And you know what? AI doesn't need a coffee break. It doesn't need to go to the restroom. It doesn't need to go on vacation. It doesn't need to take sick leave. And that's why the people with these businesses, who run these businesses, are going to become rich. You see? They're going to make a lot of money because they won't have to pay as many people. But at the same time, regular people won't have jobs, but they'll be rich. And that's what's going on in America nowadays.
South Brooklyn Route to East 34th Street is now dividing.
Yeah. It's coming. Oh.
South Brooklyn Route to East 34th Street is now arriving.
You see, so like that announcement, for example, that's automated. There's nobody here that's saying, you hear a female's voice saying, it's now arriving, there's no lady here. It automatically detects it, and it knows the ferry is coming in. So you don't need to hire somebody to make that announcement. So we eliminated lots of jobs. Yeah, lots of jobs being eliminated. Yep. Lots of jobs. we're gonna be leaving Government Island. U.S. Coast Guard regulations. So after I get off at the next stop, not the next stop, there were like 3 stops, Wall Street, then I take another ferry. Majority. So I have my ticket scan here.